Draco, we've been waiting for 20 minutes.
I wouldn't say that.
She's just so cute under that box.
EA could actually launch a game that doesn't suck.
You know what this game needs?
Holy
Ponies.
Just like everybody.
Anybody else notice that the protagonist looks a lot like Egoraptor?
This week is going to be as awesome as Duke Nukem Forever.
What's up, folks? Bluescreen Bronies, episode 45. I'm your host, D-Pad. Now, it's just going to be me today. We're having a bit of a Bluescreen breakdown, as it were. We're changing our format to every 2 weeks we'll be posting an episode to ensure that we have more than enough content and all the news and everything to keep our episodes from getting too skimpy. Sounds good? That's what I thought. Alright, moving on to news. Unfortunately, we're going to start off on a bit of a sad note here today. Nintendo's former president, Hiroshi Yamauchi, has passed away. He was 85 years old. He worked a lot with the Mario franchise and Legend of Zelda. I'm sure that we will all miss him dearly. I hope this doesn't affect the Nintendo content in any way. You know, the current president said that, they're going to keep following his values, and he laid the groundwork for a lot more stuff to come, so hopefully we don't see too much negative impact from this. Speaking of Nintendo stuff, Wind Waker's Toon Link is now headed to the Super Smash Bros., joining the already announced cast with people like Princess Peach, Regular Link, Mega Man, the Wii Fit trainer for some strange reason, on the 3DS and the Wii U. So hopefully he'll be pretty similar to anybody who's played any of the previous games, and there won't be too much of a transfer that you have to mentally go through. I know that, going from Brawl to Melee is a bit of a jump, especially with certain characters. And even though you're still playing on a GameCube, there's still some stuff that can get meddled up in there. Alright, next up, Microsoft demos streaming technology running Halo 4 on a PC. So what this means is, according to a report, Microsoft is getting close to being able to stream full games to devices like computers, Xboxes, Windows phones. What this could mean is that we could get, our very high graphical requirement games on devices where you don't necessarily have to have all the technology to render said graphics in real time on the device. As long as you're near a solid internet connection, you might be able to, get this information and be able to play something like Halo 4 on, a smaller device. What this means for us, though, in the near future, is that the Xbox One is not compatible with 360 games. However, potentially we could get them streamed to the Xbox One as a service. Obviously going to charge a fee for it, and internet's going to be a concern, but that means we may be able to get a hold of some of our favorite Xbox games. Speaking of Steam, if you've been paying attention, they've had quite a few announcements lately. The first announcement being that they are working on a Steam OS. Now, effectively what this is going to do, it's going to run a bit like Linux, but with the sole purpose of turning your computer into a focused media machine. Now, it keeps game functionality and big picture and all that, but it more focuses on media sharing, video streaming, music, all this fun stuff, kind of with their whole Steam living room idea that they've been talking about for the last couple months, getting close on a year now, since they launched big picture mode with more support for controllers and stuff like that, since they realized that not everybody's sitting, within a foot from their monitor on their computer, kind of more focused on a living room environment similar to that of like an Xbox or a PS4 or a PS3 or whatever have you in kind of your generic family setting. Now, next announcement from them was they were talking about Steam machines, which are, they're thinking kind of like, how the Piston was, with it's a very dedicated box with the sole purpose of working with Steam in order to ensure that you're getting the best content from Valve and its affiliates. Then finally, their most recent announcement was the Steam controller, which is a different kind of gamepad. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet, because it's very different. There's a touchscreen in the middle of it, and instead of like physical sticks for the joysticks, there are these two pads that are focused on pressure. You've got a tap sensor in the middle, and then the adjacent area around it is all touch sensitive with a kind of a screen in the middle. You've got your 4 buttons in the center, 3 buttons on the bottom, which I assume to be, start, select, home, and your triggers on the front of it. Now, what kind of looks weird to me is the actual construction of it yourself. You can look at the blueprints online. It's different. I'm not sure if that's a good thing, but it's very different. I've really never seen a controller like this before. Does it have potential? Well, of course. But I just don't know if being this drastically different is going to be a good thing for Valve to do right now, since many people are more focused on using an Xbox 360 or a PS3 emulated controller with most games when they're not ported correctly for PC. Alright, next up on our list of stories, ATLUS is apparently extremely happy to be joining forces with SEGA. Now, ATLUS is the dev behind Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, those kind of games. Very well known. They don't post too much content too often, unlike SEGA, who is willing to crap out a sequel, whether or not it's good, pretty easily. Now, I'm not sure how well that's going to translate, for them getting a bigger publisher like SEGA, but it's not necessarily bad, since now SEGA has control over games like Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, and all those affiliates. There is some potential to this. Hopefully now we don't see Sonic clone after Sonic clone after Sonic clone, or 2 or 3 failed startup IPs. Personally, I feel that SEGA hasn't been doing too fantastic as of late, and getting some new content could really help. Alright, next up, we have a new video from Final Fantasy XV for TGS. Looking at what we're seeing here, it's very similar to the E3 video initially, but as it progresses, we start seeing more and more content. Not sure how much of this is actual gameplay as opposed to cinematic, which Square is pretty notorious for, but it does look really, really cool. You've got maybe a live action battle system, breaking away from your kind of turn-based kind of system. It's very different in Final Fantasy. Then you've got, really, really nice looking graphics. Don't know how many of those are pre-rendered as opposed to gameplay. And, you've got a lot of your monsters from earlier games in this kind of dystopian looking, very futuristic city. Very interesting setting. We really don't know too much about it yet, but it's definitely some eye candy right now. Hopefully we can find out a little bit more after TGS gets kind of analyzed, looked over, all that fun stuff, because I don't actually speak Japanese. But, it's some cool stuff. And we know Square. It's probably going to be good. We're probably going to end up buying it. It looks awesome. That's all I'm going to finish with. It looks awesome. And next up, now, since I'm in the mood for trailers, Darksouls 2 came out with a new trailer from, of course, the Tokyo Game Show, since that is right now the biggest kind of gaming news hub we're getting right now. From what we can see here, it looks like after death, you can actually change your class on the fly, as it shows in the video. We're definitely going to see the same caliber of difficulty that we're used to with Dark Souls games, potentially even harder, which is, definitely a fun challenge for those people who really enjoy the game. And I'm looking forward to it. Being not locked down into one class has always been an interesting dynamic when done in other games. Potentially Dark Souls 2 could do it very well. They're pretty good at what they do. They definitely have a target audience who sticks to what they want. And potentially this could draw in even more people who are looking for a challenge. I know I'm buying it. So let's roll the clip. So now that we've got our minds set on swordplay, let's talk about why Namco is making a single-player only Soul Calibur game. Apparently, the president came out with a statement saying that the Soul Calibur fanbase enjoys playing against the computer a little bit more than it does against other people. I guess for a better challenge, and I guess so the game can cheat a little bit more, because they don't have to worry about user inputs, or reaction time, or flinching, or anything like that, I guess. I don't know. Seems like a silly idea to me, but you know what? I'm not in charge, so I don't know. Anyway, next up, speaking of Soul Calibur, some good news for fans of Soul Calibur 2, like myself. There's an HD version. Could get some post-release content, or even a Wii U version, if the demand is enough. Now, I really enjoyed Soul Calibur 2. That was kind of my first big throw into the franchise way back when with the GameCube. You had Link in there, and that was a big draw for people. That was kind of cool seeing him in a fighting game. Also, you had Necrit in there, who's actually not been seen in another Soul Calibur game outside of 2. So that'd be nice for a comeback there. I know that was big in tournaments. It was a very popular game back in the time. You know, featured on quite a few Game Informer magazines and Electronic Gaming Monthly, and God, I sound old. Anyway, moving on. Looks like there's some more good news for PlayStation owners on the horizon. If you're into game capture or Let's Plays or stuff like that, kind of like what we do with capture cards, you've known that the PlayStation 3 doesn't support capture card through HDMI. However, the PlayStation 4 will. So that means that developers of capture cards can rest easy knowing that they're not going to have to make dual modes for both a Xbox and the PlayStation, because you used to have composite cables and, you know, special HDMI cable for your Xbox because Sony was getting kind of iffy about letting you record through HDMI, and that's just kind of irritating, especially when you have to transfer over cable to cable when you want to cycle through different games, and some things can get messed up, pins can get bent. It's not fun, trust me. However, what is fun is titles from the PS3 that can be transferred over to the PS4 for a small fee, I guess. What this means is basically if there's certain PlayStation 3 games that are going to be released right around the release of the PlayStation 4, that if you have your PlayStation 3 disc, you can put it in your PS4, pay a small premium, and you get the PlayStation 4 version, which is actually a pretty smart idea, considering that not a lot of people are willing to pay for a game twice, me included. So that just about wraps it up for us here at Bluescreen Bronies. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Don't forget about our big event coming up in late in the year. You know, lots of prizes, lots of games, giveaways, guests, etc., etc., etc. I'm D-Pad. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody. Watching.